The first P, which I was a little bit rude about now, is passion. And I'm going to tell you the story of Roger. Roger and his wife walked into my office not so long ago, about 4 or 5 years ago. And they sat down across the table. And as they sat down, he moved his chair in and she moved her chair in. And they were literally sitting on each other's laps. And I was feeling a bit awkward looking at this. And then I said, so, you know, Roger, how can I help you? And he held up his hand like this. And what I saw was that. He had 2 fingers missing. He'd been a fitter and turner for about 18 years. He worked for a large organization that had come under some hard times. When the automotive industry changed and global sourcing became a trend, this particular business took strain. It's in the rubber industry. Roger was offered an opportunity to move out or to move on. So he took his retrenchment package and he said, 17 years of committed work as a fitter and turner in this sector, in this industry, and this is all I've got to show. Now, when I was a kid, this was called safe. There was nothing safe for Roger over here. So I said, well, what did you do? And with that, he elbows his wife, and he says, tell him, Boki, tell him. So I imagine the wife was referred to as Boki. I'm not sure that's her real name, but it's more like a term of endearment, as I understand it. So she turned around and she said, no, you tell him, Rog, you tell him, it's your meeting. And she said, no, you tell him, Boki. So eventually she spoke. She said, you know, Pavlo, when I saw Roger come home and he gave me this news, I was immediately worried. I said, why is that? She says, because, you know, happiness in a relationship is important. If a man is not happy in what he does, and I guess the same applies to a lady, it's August. It's ladies' month. There's going to be a lot of sensitivity around here. You know, new age soft culture. Okay. If a man is not happy in what he does, it's going to create hell for me in my relationship with him. So I said to Roger, Putti, you go for it. And I said, so what did he do? No, well, you know, for years and years and years, Roger's had a love affair. Not with another woman, but with diesel. I said, and what does that mean? Well, no, he believes that you can create a diesel filter that will filter to a 2.5 micron level, and these bastards, who are the OEMs, create filters that only work at 9 microns. So what happens after 100,000 kilometers, or 5 years, remarkably, the diesel injectors in most cars seize up. And if you're driving big Scania trucks that have 16 injectors a time, at around 17 to 25,000 rand a pop, it creates a serious hazard for any entrepreneur running a business of that nature. So Roger was given permission by his wife to start this business in the garage. And she said to me, I gave him 2 years, Pavlo. I said to him, Putti, you've got 2 years. And if you have not produced any income for the house in 2 years, I'm sorry, Putti. As much as I love you, and as much as love's important and happiness is important, it's back to corporate. A year went by. He kind of got the product together. A year and a half went by. He got the product together. At the end of the 2nd year, he produced gross sales of around 68,000 rand in 2 years. As much as love is not enough, 68,000 rand over 2 years for a family is simply not enough. So I said, what happened? And I was intrigued at this stage. She said, no, you know, I could see that he was so close. It was almost there. So what I said to him is, Putti, you've got 1 more year. You've got 1 more year to get it right. This was about 5 years ago. At the end of this year, Roger will close sales of 58 million rand in his diesel filter business. He got the breakthrough. He created a rigorous product. He has 2 global patents on his filtering system. He eventually convinced Putco to conduct scientific tests with the University of Pretoria on the validity of his argument. They ran a whole series of Cummins diesel engines on OEM spec filters and Rogers filters for the last 6 months. And the results are coming out that, in fact, Roger can extend the life of 100,000 kilometers to almost 300,000 kilometers without replacing diesel filters. None of this would have been possible. None of this would have been possible if there wasn't passion involved around creating this business. Because passion is what gets us through some shoddy policies, bad times, recessions, hundreds and hundreds of rejections, and constant failure. If you don't have the passion behind what you do, building an asset of value is already going to be compromised.